Israel, on its part, released a report showing the injustice of such an arrest, and also did not fail to mention that the video itself has garnered more than 4 million views. Kale Vanakkam. I've just come back from China, the land of vegan cuisine and soy boy culture. I've decided that even though the word soy boy is a derogatory term used by Republicans in Texas and Arizona, but I am able to turn a derogatory term into a positive word, and this is what I shall do. And therefore, in celebration of soy boy culture, let us visit this gentle, logical, and sensible approach to international relations to see exactly what it is to build a positive peace. I'm now back in Malaysia, my place of domicile, our dreams and passions as Chinese people with Malaysian citizenship. As you can see from the Reuters report last year concerning the arrest that was made upon me because I spoke kindly of the Jewish people, the Western article highlighted that I was taken behind bars for having recommended diplomatic ties with Israel. China, South Korea, India, and Nepal have diplomatic ties with Israel. 以中合作万岁. Why is it wrong for Malaysia to feel or to begin to feel the same way about Israel? To foster diplomatic relations with the Jewish people? You know that the work that I do to address anti-Semitism, the work that I do to address injustice against Chinese and Jewish peoples has ever been against injustice and anti-Semitism. It is wrong to be a Nazi. It is not right to repeat what the Germans and Japanese and Italians did in the Second World War. And therefore, anti-Semitism has always been repulsive in my eyes and in the eyes of 1.6 billion Chinese people worldwide. Concerning the unlawful arrest, access to digital devices were taken away from me. Access to my portals and my emails were also confiscated. China has expressed dismay over the arrest. This is a report from Wuhan University. China itself is a nation with a long history of communication with the Jewish people, and China has diplomatic relations with Israel in the form of 6 embassies and consulates. Israel, on its part, released a report showing the injustice of such an arrest, and also did not fail to mention that the video itself has garnered more than 4 million views. This is an important video, and I would invite you to watch it again to understand it precisely what the positive and constructive perspectives are concerning building a new future, a new masa depan. Injustice is incorrect. It is important to fight terrorism, and that our counter-terrorism work, wherever we are in the world, whether it is in Gaza or Xinjiang, is important to ensure that Islam is not misused to create trouble, chaos, and instability in nations around the world. Hanania Naftali is the interviewer who invited me in 2021 to speak on film concerning the possibility of building a new future between Malaysia and Israel. In a recent May 2024 memo he sent to me, Naftali repeated the impressions he has of the Chinese people, that the Chinese people share a deep connection with the Jewish race and appreciate the astounding culture and history of the Jewish people. He is greatly encouraged by Chinese affirmation of the efforts he is putting in to defeat Palestinian terrorism and to rescue the Gaza district from further destructive activities promoted by Hamas over the past 40 years in order to break Israel. Jews like Naftali, people like Naftali, require the hope and determination necessary to get through the trying ordeal of defeating radical Islamist terrorism, which has hijacked Islam for nefarious purposes. Therefore, when we look at reports coming out of certain media outlets in Malaysia that seem to bask in the glory of radical Islamist terror, we must ask, is this the future we want to build for Malaysia? Is this the future we want to build for the four main races here, the Malays, Chinese, Indians, and Borneo Malaysians? And also for the many other groups, including the Orang Asli, Orang Asal, and the various ethnicities across the peninsula and East Malaysia. Of all the 12 major ethnic groups in Malaysia, do we want a strong economy? The answer is yes. Do we want international trade and commerce? Yes. Do we want modernity and the best of our traditions preserved, interweaved, interwoven, intermixed to form a good and healthy tapestry? Yes, we want that. And Islam as a sacred religion for the Muslims should never be misused to create horror, social terror, and the destruction of trade routes, the disruption of trade routes, and the destruction of trade opportunities. When we take a look at terrorists such as Shafiq Jaafar, when we take a look at the various Malaysians that have flown to some sensitive parts of the world to participate in killing other Muslims or to kill non-Muslims, we realize that nations ought to be at peace, all nations, and that Islamist terror, that warped version of Islam, should never be nurtured or encouraged in any way. That Hamas's attack against inland Israel is incorrect, and it is high time to root out Hamas, Al-Qaeda, and all ISIL offshoots and spin-offs. That these radical Islamist interpretations must be stopped once and for all in order to preserve Muslim and non-Muslim security. I'm now back in Malaysia, and it is an honor to say that there are many moderate Muslims, and that the vast majority of Malay Muslims hope for trade and commerce opportunities and a stable life. They hope for the ingenuity and the tenacity of the Jewish people to come even closer to Malaysian people, and they hope that the Jewish people would foster strong relations with Malay people in order for Malaysian manufacturing to prosper and for Israeli technological innovation to bolster this side of commerce as well. That together, exports and imports both to and from Israel and to and from Malaysia can improve livelihoods and create a strong Muslim-Jewish relationship. The issue with the ethnic Palestinians isn't so much ethnic pride anymore, but the misusing of a religion to do evil. That has to stop. You would know that even the creator of the heavens, by whatever name he's called, by whatever name you refer to God, either as a Hindu, a Muslim, a Buddhist, or a Jewish person, or a Christian or Catholic person, that by whatever name you refer to God, you would know that God's edict is to create meaningful lives, and that your life ought to be meaningful, and the lives of millions of people around you ought to be meaningful as well, and that we ought to build a world community for billions of good people.
A report by a Malay Muslim team in the form of an English article was also released claiming that I'm pro-Zionist. All good people would be pro-Zionist. To build up Zion, to preserve and defend Zion. To be a Zionist means to defend justice and righteousness. Zion is actually a place name of a mountain. To be a Zionist is to build a place where justice prevails. To be a Zionist means to pursue justice and defeat evil. If you want to pursue justice, to prosper good people, to help good people, and to defeat any evil force, then you are a Zionist.
Innocence and righteousness are important ingredients of civilization and society. Therefore, I do not believe in being counter-social. I do not believe in being anti-social. I believe in creating good relationships. I believe in fostering opportunities for good people to connect with each other. And this is why I'm confident that Malaysia and Israel can prosper together. I'm confident as well that the example of China and Israel having decades-long relationships going back at least 200 years in our contemporary times, that China and Israel, with their ambassadorial functions, can provide a template and example for Jewish and Malaysian relationships. The Chinese-Israeli relationship is strong. And this is precisely why we need to emulate the examples of those who have gone before us to create better opportunities for Malaysians of all ethnic groups. Ini peluang terbaik untuk membina hubungan Israel Malaysia, peluang kedamaian untuk masa depan, dan mencegah dan mengalahkan keganasan Hamas. Keganasan Hamas tidak layak untuk mendasarkan agama Islam. Tidak layak. I do not believe that Hamas represents Islam. It is not an Islamic movement. It is dangerous. It will only cause chaos in Malaysia. We have seen how radical Islamist terrorists have taken away the lives of innocent Malay Muslim people in these past several weeks. We have seen how Malay Muslims are suffering because irresponsible radical Muslims have taken the religion and warped it.
3 different pieces of Malaysian law were being used to analyze the situation. But of course, this is a very atrocious misuse of 3 important pieces of Malaysian law. Such legal instrumentalities are meant to punish criminals and terrorists, not good people. Rather, we see a traitor and domestic terrorist. His name is, again, Shafiq Jaafar. He has Republican and Libertarian support. He gets rich with special favors. He has money wired to him from America to Malaysia, and he runs away without scrutiny, without examination. He does not get arrested, he does not get brought behind bars, and his access to devices and multimedia is not confiscated. How is it sensible to tolerate radicals and persecute good people? And bad folks like Shafiq Jaafar should never be tolerated by Malaysians of any kind.
I understand that the reputation of Islam is at stake. And this is my prayer, that with the Chinese and Israeli examples, we'll be able to create a world where Islam is no longer misused. It is an available temptation for certain media outlets to misrepresent China and to misrepresent Israel. It's because it is an available temptation. An opening is always there to misrepresent Chinese people and to misrepresent Israelis. Even though there is absolute goodness and absolute sweetness in the minds and spirits of Chinese people, and we are willing to work diligently to make miracles happen for peoples around the world, and yet we are misrepresented daily by certain media outlets in many parts of the world. And this is precisely why my wish and my desire is for a peace that soars and grows, and for the willpower and resolve to tackle radical Islamist terrorism and to rescue Islam